Today, we are talking about the progress that we are seeing in Kenya. I'll start off with the students. Tell us what you see.
What I can say is that growing up, we, as women, trying to have role models. When we're looking at who can we get advice from, it's very difficult, especially in the architectural industry. You find that there are 3-4 female architects in the practice, and they're just starting out. You find that there's very few architectural practices run by women. So you find, where can I get advice? Not only about architecture, but about how you can make it in the industry as a woman, how you can, even in the student environment, when you're working, when you're studying, how do you engage with an entire faculty, an entire team of lecturers who are men? So the Press for Progress, I believe, is a really important conversation to be having right now. As women are entering the industry, and as men themselves are also finding themselves in an industry that is now populated with women. Right now in the faculty, you're finding that classes are about 50-50, but the faculty teaching them is about 10-90. So how do we press for progress in trying to populate the industry with women role models and leaders?
I would like to pass that question to each one of us. What's your take on pressing for progress, especially in our community of built environment?
I believe press for progress, we each have a responsibility, especially the ladies who have been placed in places of responsibility. If I speak from the background of where I teach, University of Nairobi, she has already mentioned that at least the numbers we are seeing are going up. When we were at the university, I think we were like about 4 ladies in our class with Kina Diana. Now they're like 20, 30. I believe that's good progress because it means more ladies are knowing more about built environment courses and they're daring to try. And so ours as a responsibility is to go out there and mentor young ladies who know nothing about architecture. They think engineering is Greek. They think quantity surveying is rocket science. It's good for us to go out there and tell them that these things are doable because we have done them. We are here. But when we just sit in our small or big offices and enjoy doing architecture and quantity surveying and not going back to the schools, from primary schools, secondary schools, and telling young girls about architecture, quantity surveying, engineering, all this, then as much as we are pressing from this end, we might not be able to see much. We have to start from the foundations.
Let's talk about other challenges and stereotypes and bias that we see against the woman, especially in our built environment.
As much as I studied architecture, I don't practice. I am a supplier in the roofing industry. And now we have gone into manufacturing, so I can talk from a business person perspective. It is true, when you go to the table, I'm always the only woman. Yes, I have served coffee. And yes, everyone assumes you came to take notes. But over time, as long as you keep consistently being present, stating your points, not taking it personally, you find that over time people actually take you seriously. And it doesn't matter, I think things are really different now. Even when we talk to financial institutions, they sit down and they want to talk to you. I mean, it took a long time for people to even know that I own Space and Style. I think the first 10 years I was a sales girl, I was a tea girl. Yes, but it's never personal. And it is something that is actually meant to build your character. And as long as you're consistent and you're professional, eventually the respect comes.
I so feel Winnie. Because there are many times I find myself in boardrooms and I'm the only woman. And, you know, the first thing is I would ask myself, what am I doing here? But when you understand why you're in a place, you bring in professionalism, you bring in excellence, and that distinguishes you. The stereotypes are there. You know, if you're a woman and you're a lawyer, they think automatically you deal with matrimonial cases and children's and, you know, adoptions and all those. And I actually don't do that. So when anybody calls me and they say, oh, I'm looking for do you do adoption or do you do divorce? I'm like, no, I don't handle those, you know, because that is the first thing people think. You're a woman, you must do it. So when they ask you what do you do and you start speaking about property and intellectual property and energy, and they think, okay, and then I tell them, no, I can refer you. So the stereotypes are there. But what I would say is we must distinguish ourselves through excellence, through your confidence in what you do, and just knowing your stuff.
Mine is a message to the men out there, and also to the women. To the men is that we can't move our country forward if half the population is left behind. So we have to make it our struggle, make it our fight, that we need to build up our women. Maybe it's something that I take passionately because I grew up with women. I have 2 sisters who I grew up with. I also have 2 daughters. So all my life I've lived around women. I'm comfortable around women. Even this setting is I feel right at home when I'm seated here. So I think as men we need to just take this up and run with it. We shouldn't leave this fight to the women. And to the women, we need to be much more understanding. We shouldn't be antagonistic. We shouldn't be combative. We need to understand that we are coming from a time when things were totally different, and some people might not change their minds. If you become too antagonistic, then they resist, and all efforts that you're trying to make will be met with a lot of resistance. So this campaign, as we are pushing it forward, I think we need to be very sensitive on how we are going to go about it.